new module is nothing but a Entra ID. What is that? Entra ID. Okay, Entra ID. What is Entra ID? So Entra ID is formerly known as the Active Directory. Is known as the Active Directory. Okay. So in the previous days, like 1 year back, 2 years back, I think they had changed the name to the Azure Active Directory to the Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, they now changed the Microsoft Entra ID. So what does Azure Active Directory or Entra ID? It's okay, they just change the name only. They just change the name to the Active Directory Entra ID. Remaining things are same. Remaining things are same. So what does my Entra ID? Microsoft Entra ID is a cloud-based identity and access management service. Nothing but a AM service provided by the Microsoft. Like in previous days, like in AWS, we had learned about the AM service. The same thing here, Azure AM service is known as the Entra ID. Okay, Entra ID. So what does AM service do? The AM service will provide access to the multiple users. Okay, suppose Azure portal wants to share with multiple users and groups and roles, then you go for the Entra ID. Entra ID. Here, what helps this Entra ID do? Manage the users, group and identities. And also provide the single sign-on, like a multiple users log into the single directory. So the single active directory. Okay. So what does Entra ID do? It manages the users, groups, and the identities. Provide the single sign-on, secure access to the Azure, and also Azure portal, and also access to Microsoft 365 and third-party apps. Okay. By using Entra ID, we can share the Azure account for the multiple users, group, and identities. Entra ID is a multi-tenant directory service that provides authentication, authorization, and identity management. Okay. And I'll already explain you what is my authentication, what is my authorization, and what is my identity management. Okay, Entra ID is a multi-tenant cloud directory service. This means that multiple people can log in and manage by using authentication, authorization, and identity management. Why Entra ID is needed? Okay, without Entra ID, so we have each and every app, we need to create a separate username and password instead of a single username password. Suppose if you don't have Entra ID, there are multiple products are there in Azure. Like for virtual machine service, we need to create one username password, and other Azure storage, we need to create another username password. There are multiple services are there. We need to create multiple username and password. Instead of that, if you create a Entra ID, then single username and password with the help of we can access the all apps. Okay, we don't need separate username password for each and individual app. So there is no centralized control if you don't have Entra ID. Okay, so with the Entra ID we have a centralized control also. Okay, with the Entra ID we can provide one login, access multiple apps. Mean that we will create only one username and password. With the help of one username, they can access the multiple apps. Okay. We have a central security policies. Central security policies can be assigned from using the Entra ID. Mean that we can manage by using Entra ID. We can manage the policies that which user can access having it policy. Suppose user having some access, user 2 having some access, user 3 having some access. This access can be managed by using the central security policy by applying the policy. And also we can provide the multi-factor authentication and conditional access also. Okay, conditional access also. Who is the Entra ID? Entra ID is generally used by the IT administrator. Why use IT administrator? They need to manage and groups, users and group, and also enforce the multi-factor authentication. And also they can apply for the conditional access policy. Conditional access policy. This Entra ID can be used with multiple people like IT administrators. They can manage users and group, enforce the multi-factor authentication, and apply the conditional access policy. And second thing is there, this application developer. It's okay. Okay, implement the single sign-on using the authentication OpenID Connect, secure application with the Entra authentication. Okay, suppose developer want to access the Azure services, then we'll provide secure access by using Entra ID. Okay, and Microsoft Cloud customers like if you have using Microsoft 365 Office and Azure and you have Dynamics 365, so all application, all services can be accessed with the single username and single username. So that is the Entra ID. With the Entra ID, we can manage multiple services with single sign-in login, and we can provide the authentication authorization. Okay, we can provide the authentication authorization also. Authentication, what are the authentication authorization and identity management is there. So which user having which type of access? If I want to give some access to the user one, I want to give another access, like I want to give policies and access to the other two, can be maintained by the Entra ID. It is same as a AWS IAM service. It is a IAM service. Here, every subscription whenever you create a Azure account, every Azure subscription automatically gets a Entra ID tenant. Entra ID tenant. Okay, tenant. What are the core components of Entra ID? Tenant is nothing but a dedicated Entra ID for the organization. Example, suppose I create a one whenever I create like root account in our AWS here. Okay, root account. So what does my root account? Whenever I create a Azure account first time with the help of my Gmail ID, that will become the tenant. Okay, that will become the tenant. Okay, here see this example is there, company dot on Microsoft.com. So this become the this company name or my name will become the enter ID. Users are nothing but a users, may be cloud users, maybe guest users, or business to business users. And groups are nothing but a collection of users. Okay, I want to give the permission for the users. Instead of giving the permission for user individual permission, I just all add the users to the group and I'll apply the permission for the group. Okay, the groups may be security groups or maybe Office 365 groups. Okay, okay, when I want to run application, then to run enterprise application or app registration also need the enter ID. Okay, enter ID, understood. Yeah, there are multiple types of enter ID editions are there. Okay, one is the free one, second one is the Microsoft 365 Office apps, third one is the enter ID P1, and the fourth one is enter ID P2. Okay, so free one have a basic identity where we can manage the users group and single sign on only, single sign-on only. So when the free one will provide the basic identity, and we can key features are user group and single sign-on only. Suppose if you take a subscription for 365, that is Office 365, then it will provide the usage for like want to access like MS Office. Like it will provide the single sign-on and it will provide only basic security. You don't create users group and single sign-on. Suppose if it is enter ID P1, we need to pay the price for that one. Okay, we need to pay the separate price for P1, enter ID P1. It is generally used for enterprise and advanced security. It will provide the conditional access, hybrid identity, and identity protection. Which one? Enter ID P1 and P2. Okay, generally this account, our account, whether you have the my account is the pay as you go model, but still I have not taken the enter ID P1 or P2 PT subscription. For enter ID P1 P2 subscription, you need to pay the extra amount. Extra amount. They will provide enterprise level security and other conditional access. Other conditional access. Hello? Hello? One minute. What happened? Okay. Okay. So what is my enter ID? Enter ID is like a AWS IAM service where we can provide, create a users, groups and roles and give the access to the particular user and group. Okay, understood. This enter ID having a multiple things are there, multiple subscriptions are there. I just go to the enter ID here. Types of enter ID. There are four types. One is the free one, second one is the 365, and third one, fourth one is the enter ID P1, P2. Okay. Okay. Understood? This is the pricing list. Now you can check here the enter plans. There are multiple options are there. You have a Entra ID P1, you have Entra ID P2. For Entra ID suite, there are multiple options are there. So generally we are in the free plan. Okay, we are in the free plan. Okay, understood. So what are the multiple plans are there? There are multiple things are there. For Entra ID P1, we need to pay 500 rupees for yearly, for user per month. Okay, see here. What are the here? Per user month paid yearly. Here, this is 500. For Entra ID P2, we need to pay the user per month 750 rupees. For Entra ID suite, we need to pay for 1000 rupees. Okay, there are multiple options are there. What is the difference between P1, P2 and Entra suite? For Entra ID, here see what are the options are there. This all things have a conditional access is there. Okay, you see check here. Okay, check here. For P2, P1 having conditional access. For this one, P1 you don't have any options. Entra ID protection, Entra ID governance, Entra ID verified ID, and Microsoft Entra ID internet access, private access you don't have an option. Okay. Whereas this one having a Entra ID suite combines the network access, identity protection, governance and identity verification solution. A subscribe to Microsoft ID P1 or PK that can include the Microsoft ID P1 is required. A special pricing is available for Entra ID P2 and 365 customers. Okay, there is a multiple products are there whether you need to develop the subscription for Entra ID and P1, P2 and Entra suite. They having a extra options are there. Okay, extra options are there. Here I just log into the Azure portal. Now I just log into Azure portal. Then we're going to use a create a one like we're going to create a first we're going to learn about the role based access control. Okay, role based access control. Understand? Role based access control. Before going to log into the before going to know about the role based access control, role based access control. Here first we need to create a user. Then how to create a user? First we're going to log into the Azure portal. We're going to log into the Azure portal. Okay. Then we're going to create a user. Then we're going to create a user. I just click on this one. First we're going to go to the portal. Okay. For creating the user, you don't need to create a resource group. You don't need to create a resource group. Just log into the portal. Then first we'll create a user. Okay. Do you understand Azure mean AWS? Sorry, Entra ID? Joel? Okay. Are you there? Okay, just make a text. Are you understand that how the Entra ID is similar to the AWS IAM? Okay. Okay. Now I just log into the portal here. Just log into the portal here. Then I go to the Entra ID. Go Entra ID. We're going to create a user. Create a user. We're going to create a user. Then how will you go this one? Just go to the search bar. Type Entra ID. Type Entra ID. Okay. Just go to the Microsoft Entra ID here. How will you manage? Generally, I just log into Azure portal as my my own tenant. That is nothing but a every day I log in as whenever I create with the Gmail. That is a you become the tenant. You become the root account. Here already I just log into the root account. It's nothing but a tenant. Then we're going to create a user. Okay. Then we can create a user and we'll give the permission for the particular user. Okay. If you see here, this Entra ID. Okay, this is the Entra ID. You can check here default directory is Java with AWS DevOps. You see here, just go to the Entra ID. This is the Entra ID. Entra ID. This is a default directory. Whenever I just log into the Entra ID, whenever log into the Azure, it will create a default directory. Okay, it is a default directory. Check here the default directory. What are the default directory here? You can check here the default directory. Okay, this is the default directory. You just logged in here. Okay, okay. Here, if you check here, how it is there. What is the default directory domain? You can check here how it is created. So this is my mail ID, Javed DevOps Gmail at onmicrosoft.com. Okay, this is the domain. Okay, this is the domain. Okay, now what we do here to create a user. To create a user. If you check here and click on the users, you click on the users. Okay, there are multiple users are there. One is the test one user, second one is the user one, and the this is my default user. This is my default user, and I also given the another user I created. Another user I created, which is the created another user. Okay, another user. Understand? I just delete this user also. Okay, and this is a user. I delete here previous user. This is the default user. If you check here, this is the default user, and these are the users previously created. Previously you created. Okay. So here I want to create a user. Okay, I want to create a user and I want to give the permission to access the resources. Then click on this here, new user, and 1 minute. Click on the new user, click on the create new user. Here I am creating the new user. So when you create the user, first time there is no permissions or policies attached to this user, then you don't have access to any resource. Any resource. Here I am creating user. I am just giving the name as username as a Juhair. Okay, I am just giving the name as Juhair. And this is the display name. I want to give the display name. Okay, I want to give the display name. And I am giving the password. Okay, I'm giving the password here. Okay, I'm giving the password for the user 2. For the user 2. So okay, you need to give the password like complex password. Okay, I'm giving the password like this. Okay, I'm giving the password. Okay, I'm creating the user. Username is Juhair, and username is Juhair, and I'm just giving the password here. Okay, password here. Okay, understand the password here. Okay, then here, okay, account is enabled. Next, go into the properties here. Okay, I don't want to give this all this thing. I just leave it as same. Okay, and assignments. Okay, this I want to add the group. I want to add the role. We're going to learn next class. Okay, just created a user. Username is what? Username is Juhair, and password I had given. Okay, just click on the create here. Now I created a user. I created a user. If you check the user here, just refresh. How the username is there? Username is a combination of your Entra ID and Entra ID. That is a default tenant ID, and it will be combined with your username. Okay, so you will do username. Yeah, check here. You created a user. So now you can check here the username is Juhair. Okay. Username is the Juhair. If you check here how the user ID is created, how it is created. Here, this is the username. This is the username, and this is the default Enter ID. Okay, whenever I created this mail, I had created a Microsoft account. This is the default Enter ID. The username will be like Zuhaib at the rate of javaAWS gmail.com on Microsoft.com. This is the name. This is the username. How the username will be created. Now I go into the portal. Okay, I'll go to the Google Chrome. Google Chrome. I'm going to log into the Azure portal as a user. As a user. What is the username here? Juhaib. Okay. Here, just type here Azure portal. Okay. We're going to the Microsoft Azure, and this is the user name. What is the username? Juhaib. Just copy this one and going to log into the I'm going to log into the user. Now it is asking the password. What is the password here? Now I can check here the password here. This is the password. The user password. Just paste here. Just sign in. Okay. They're asking for the update the password. Here I am updating the password here. I'll make it as again another 6 here. Now I'm logged into Azure portal as a Juhaib user. Okay. Now I'm logged into the Azure portal. Wait. Asking for the authentication, Microsoft authentication. Actually, they enabled whenever create a user, asking for the authentication. No problem. So here, what we need to do here, we need to create a multi-factor authentication. Let's keep your account safe. Okay, it is asking this username. For use a different account, use the different account. Here, select here, next here. We need to download the Google Authenticator. We need to download the Google Authenticator from your mobile phone. Just go to the Play Store here. Okay, just go to the Play Store. Whether we need to download the Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator. Then, what happened? We need to download the Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator from your mobile phone, whether we are using iOS, Apple phone or which one. And another thing is other Apple phone or another one is Google Authenticator. Either you can use Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator from the Play Store. Download the Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. Okay. Then just open the Authenticator app. Then scan the QR code. After scanning the QR code, it will generate a OTP. Then we need to enter the OTP here. Okay. I don't know why it is not allowing without Authenticator app. Okay. So then we need to enter the what? We need to enter the OTP. Then successfully the User is created. User is created. Understood? Understood? That is how to manage the Azure account. Okay. First we need to create a user account. Then we need to create a Google Authenticator. We need to install. Then after that we need to download Authenticator. We need to link with the Authenticator. Okay. How will you do it? Go to the Google Play Store, download the Authenticator, and scan this QR code. Scan this QR code. Okay. Done. Okay. So here I had already having an account is there. We're going to log into this account. Okay. Log into this account. What is the account is there? This is the user account. Okay. This is the user account previously, which is there. Okay. Here I just go here. Just log into the user. Then next here. Then enter the password. Enter the password. Okay. What is the password? One minute. I'll just download the Google Authenticator. अब कितना यूज है? इतने बार मैं 2 बार था यूज है. दो से. मैं कितने बार था यूज है? बोला नहीं तो. क्या रे? इधर जाता है ना सुबह है. Here the problem is there. It is not allowing to log in with the help of the username and password. It asking for the multi-factor authentication. Okay, it is asking for the multi-factor authentication. Here one user is there. This is a user one is there. We have another user is there. Juhab. I just now created a Juhab user. Then how will going to we're going to attach the multi-factor authentication. Without multi-factor authentication, it is not allowing to log in. It is not allowing to log in. Here first I log into the Microsoft account. That is a Juhab account. Okay. Okay. Next here. I just downloaded Microsoft Authenticator application. Now click on next here. I just open the Google Authenticator app. So previously without Authenticator also it is allowing. Right now I don't know that why it is allowing here. Now I just downloaded Google Authenticator. Now from the Authenticator app I just enter the OTP from the Authenticator. Okay, just scan here. QR code is not opening. Now scan the QR code for the user from the Google Authenticator app. Just scan the your QR code here. Uh, 1 minute. It is having issue. Is there something? In previous console, without multi-factor authentication, with only username and password they allowed. Not right now, they changed without multi-factor authentication. It's not working. We'll wait. Set up for account in app. Here, just go to the authenticator. Okay. What happened? One minute. I'm unable to scan, brother, from my Google Authenticator. I'm getting error. 1 minute. One minute. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm getting error. It was working properly. Previous yesterday also it worked. 1 minute. पूरा कोर्स करे जीरो से पैकेज just open the Google Authenticator. Scan the code. Now click on next here and enter the code here. Okay, 458552. Okay, just enter the code here. Now successful login as a user 2. Okay, successful login as a user 2. Okay, successfully login as a user 2. Then, so when a user is created, we are not attached to any resources. Mean that we are not given any permission to access any resource. I just logged in as user 2. You can check here the login credentials. I just logged as a user 2. The user 2 have no permission to access any resource. Then we need to give the permission to access the resources. Okay, resources. Now you can check here. You don't have any permission. When you click on the virtual machines here, when you click on the virtual machine, one service, when you click on this service, any service, you don't have a permission to create. Why it is? Because of, see here, You don't have any permission. You can check here. Because you don't have permission, I had not attached any permission to the particular user. You can check here the username. Okay, you can check here the username. That is the user2 at the rate of Javed AWS gmail.com. Okay, okay, understood, understood, understood. So this is the user. Here, this is the root user. You can check here. This is the root user. This is the root user is there. Javed AWS at the rate of gmail.com. So now this user don't have any permission. Here, this don't have any permission to access any resource. Here, we're going to give the permission. Okay, we're going to give the permission. Now we're going to learn about what is my role-based access. Okay, what is my role-based access? Okay, okay, what is my role-based access? Here, see here, what is my role-based access? Okay, what is my role-based access? Okay, this is the roles. There are multiple roles are there. Okay, here, see this. What is my role-based access control? What is my Azure RBAC? Azure RBAC is known as the role-based access control. Is an organization system that helps to control access to the Azure resources. Azure resources. So what is this one? Who can access the Azure resources? What does my RBAC decide? By using RBAC, who can access the Azure resources? What actions can they perform? And what scope? Means at the access can be provided at the subscription level, at the resource group level, or resource level. When you provide the access to the resource level, we can access only the resource only. When you provide the access at the resource group level, means inside the resource group, we can access any resource. Maybe resource group contains storage account, maybe virtual machine, maybe other things. He will have access to the all resources inside the resource group. When you give the subscription level, it will have all permission to access any resource, any resource. Okay, it is like administrative access in the AWS IAM. Okay, understood. So what does the all role-based access control? Role-based access control is the authorization system that helps you to control access to the Azure resources. There are three critical questions are there. Who can access the Azure resources? What action can they perform? And which scope we are giving the permission. Either we are giving the permission at the resource level, whether I want to give the permission at the resource group level or subscription level. Okay. Here, why is RBAC is important? Prevent the unauthorized access. Follow the principle of least privilege. Mean that I don't want to give the all privileges. I want to give the specific privileges. By using the rollback access control, we can give the specific permissions only instead of giving all permissions. Okay. Required for the enterprise security and audits, essential for DevOps and cloud admin engineers. Okay. Here, security principles are who get the access. Either user get the access, either group get the access, or service principal get the access, or manager entity get the access. Okay. See here, at the rollback access control, we can give the three types of permission. One is the owner permission, second one is the contributor permission, and third one is the reader permission. And third one is the reader permission. Okay. Okay. Another is the one is the owner permission, and second one is the contributor permission, and third one is the reader permission, and fourth one is the custom role permission. There are the four types of permissions are given for the any user, group, or service principal of identity. So what does rollback access control do? So rollback access control give the permission. Okay, who can access, what actions can they perform, and which scope. Either we need to give the permission at the subscription level, at the resource group level, or resource level. That is known as the rollback access control. Okay. Now here, okay, here we're going to create a one role. Okay, first we're going to create a role. Okay, what is a role? Okay, first we're going to create a role. Before going to create a role, in the root account is nothing but in root account. I'm going to create a one resource group, and inside the resource group I create a virtual machine. Okay, virtual machine. Okay, I just go to the resource group here. I create a resource group. First, I create a virtual machine inside the default directory or default root account. Then we don't have any permission to access the resource. Nothing but a resource is virtual machine. In the user account, you don't have any permission. Even though I created virtual machine, you don't see in the virtual machine. Virtual machine you can't access in the user account. Then we'll give the permission. either first time you'll give the user permission, first time you'll give the owner permission, reader permission, contributor permission. Owner permission, contributor permission. Okay. User permission, contributor permission, and what is that? Reader permission. Okay. 3 types of permissions are there. 3 types of permissions are there. Okay. Okay. 3 types of permissions are there. Here, if you see this, what is my reader role? What is my reader role, and what is my reader role? What is my owner role, and what is my contributor role? Okay. What is my contributor role? So reader means we can read the resource. Mean that we can't modify the resource. We can modify the resource. See here, role, there are 3 types of role. We are going to give the rollback access control for the particular user. There are 3 types of roles are there. One is the owner role, second is the contributor role, and third one is reader role. So owner can create the resource, modify the resource, delete the resource, assign the roles, and view the resource. Whereas contributor can create the resource but cannot assign the roles. Contributor can create the resource, modify the resource, delete the resource, or view the resource. But thing is there, he can't give the roles, he can't assign the roles. Whereas reader permission cannot do anything, it just can view the resources only. Here inside this one, I want to create a one virtual machine. Inside the resource group Javed -RG. Okay, I created a resource group. Inside this resource group, I create a virtual machine. Okay, I just go to the virtual machine, click on the virtual machine here. Okay, I just create a virtual machine. I'm just creating virtual machine in the administrator account, nothing but a root account. When I go inside the user account, you can't access the virtual machine because we are not having default, we are not given any permission to access the resource virtual machine. Then we're going to give the multiple permissions, like first time as a reader role, second time as a contributor role, and third one is a owner role. Here I'm just creating a virtual machine. Yeah, this is a virtual machine name VM RBAC. I am just giving the virtual machine as a VM RBAC, and I don't need any infrastructure redundancy. Okay, this one, instead of that, I'll select a password. I'll just give the username as Azure user. I'm creating virtual machine here. Okay, then we're going to give the different types of permissions are contributor, reader, and owner. Reader and owner. So now I've created a virtual machine. So I created virtual machine. Here inside the resource group, Java RG resource group, I created a virtual machine as a resource. For this resource, we're going to give the permission first time as a reader for the user 2, again second time contributor for contributor role, then we'll give the owner permission for this resource only. The permissions, rollback access control permissions can be given at the which 3 levels. Okay, either maybe either I can give the permissions at the reader, contributor, and owner. Okay, if you give the reader permission, mean you can view the resources only, you can't do the modification. Whereas if you give the contributor, we can create, modify, delete, but we can't create the roles, we can't assign the role. When you create a owner role, we can assign the permissions for the role also. Okay? That's it. Another thing is that this rollback access control can be provided at the 3 types of level. Either maybe resource level, either maybe resource group level, or either maybe another one is the resource group level, another one is the subscription level also. Okay. When you give the permission at the resource level, he can have access to the only particular resource only. When you give the permission for the resource group level, you can have the permission for the access any resource inside the resource group level. So when you view the subscription level, he can access any resource. He can access the any resource. Now I'm creating virtual machine here. Let me wait here. रोज भी क्यों आता है यार? रोज भी हैंग होता है। हो रोज भी कल भी 2 रोज भी हैंग हुआ। Now it just came to okay again it is hanging on. Okay, 1 minute. Once the virtual machine is created in the default directory, then we're going to check that in the user. Okay, you don't see any virtual machine in the user too because we don't given any permission. Then we're going to give the permission, different type of permission. One is the first one is the reader permission, second one is the contributor permission, and third one is the owner permission. Now virtual machine is creating. In the user 2, check here in user 2, we are not given any permission, mean that it is not showing any virtual machines here. Once we give the rollback access control for this resource, that's which resource? This is a VM. Then when you give the reader permission, we can able to see the virtual machine here. Presently, you don't have any permission to access anything. It is not showing anything. Okay. Now just once it is virtual machine is created. Now the virtual machine is created. Check here. The virtual machine is created. Now you can check here. There is no virtual machine is there. It is not showing anything. You don't have any permission to access any resource. Then here I go to the virtual machine here. Okay. This rollback access control can be provided at the resource group level or resource level or subscription level. Here at the resource level, I am giving the permission. For this one, you can find here access control IAM directly here. Now click on the virtual machine, click on the access control IAM here. Okay, click on the IAM here. Here we have one option is there. We have an option is there that is called role assignment. Click on the roles assignment. Okay. Here click on the add role assignment. When you click on the role assignment, when you click on the add role assignment, there are multiple things are there. So what is the thing we discussed the rollback access control? Three types. One is the reader, second is the contributor, and third one is the owner. Here I am just selecting this reader. See this reader. Which one? I am selecting the reader here. Just add the user. Which user? User 2. I am going to add the user 2. For this resource, which one I am adding this user for this resource? Okay. For this resource, I am adding this user. Now I added user here. Click on next. Mean that this user can access the, I am giving the reader permission for the user 2. Mean that user 2 can access this resource. This resource. Which resource? Virtual machine. I just added a role assignment for this machine. Now I just go to the refresh here. Previously, I don't see any virtual machine. Now we're going to check that whether this virtual machine is visible or not. Because we are here now, I can check here again. Again, in user 2, just refresh here. One more time. I had given the virtual machine for the user 2 to access the virtual machine. Now you can check here. It is now visible. Can you observe this? Virtual machine is visible. Now you can check here. Virtual machine is visible. Check here. Because I had given the reader permission for this one. I am given the reader permission for this one. So now the virtual machine is enabled. Virtual machine visible. So this reader permission, I can't do modified anything. Like this is a virtual machine. Here this is virtual machine. Okay, this is a virtual machine. Whether I want to modify or I want to create another virtual machine, I don't have any option. For this resource, okay, you can check here. I want to restart this machine. When I click on the restart machine, what happens here? You will get a error, fail to restart machine. Why? Because this virtual machine I had just given the rollback access control as a reader only. When you give the reader role, we can just view the resources only. You don't have a permission to modify. That does mean that modify, I want to restart a machine. I want to stop a machine. I want to delete a machine. This thing you can't do with the help of the reader access. Okay. When you give the contributor permission, then we'll give the contributor permission.
mean that he can manage the resource, any resource, modify the resource. This time I had given the reader permission. Again I am going to the portal. I am going to the portal here. Okay, I am going to the portal here. Again I am going to add the this time contributor role. Just add the contributor role. Again go to the virtual machine here. Go to the virtual machine. For this resource, I am giving the permission at the virtual machine level. That is nothing but a resource level. I can give the permission at the resource group level also. Here I am applying the rollback access control at the resource level. Okay, this is the resource. This is the virtual machine. This is the virtual machine. Just click on the virtual machine. Just click on the virtual machine. After that, previously for this resource, I had given the reader permission. Now I'm going to give the which one? I'm going to give the access control. Click on the access control. I'm going to give the contributor permission. What is my contributor? Here go to the add role assignment. Click on add here. Click on add role assignment. Okay. Previously I had given the reader permission. Now I'm going to give the contributor permission for this one. Okay. So there are multiple users are there. Here see this. There are multiple things. There are multiple roles are there. Here I just clicked on the privilege administrator roles. Previously I had given the reader role. Now I am giving the contributor role. Contributor role grant the full access to any resource but does not allow to create a role. I am just selecting this here contributor. Then click on next here. Okay. Then add the user here. Then add the user here. What are the user? User 2. Now click on select here. Now click on next here. Now click on review and assign. Click on review assign. This time for this user 2, I had assigned a role as a contributor for accessing the resource virtual machine. Previously, I have given the permission reader, mean that I can view the resource. Okay. Whereas I don't have any permission to modify the resource. Now I have given the contributor. I have given the contributor. Now I just given the contributor role. Again, when you give the contributor role, means that the resource can modify the resource can be modified. Option to modify. Here again I just go to the home tab. This time again I refresh here. Okay. Again I just refresh here. Here I just go to the virtual machine. Click on the virtual machine. Now when I click on the restart here, it will restart. Why? Because so now you can check here. Now restart in virtual machine. Because I had given the contributor role. What is that? I had given the contributor role. So what is the contributor role? A contributor role can access any resource, can modify, can do anything. But the thing is there, you don't have any option to assign the role. You don't have an assignment, you don't have option to assign the role. Okay. So now it is restarting. You can check here the restart. Virtual machine is restart. In previous reader role, you don't have any permission to restart. Now when I try to restart here, the virtual machine is restarting. Understood? This which role? This is the contributor role. Contributor role. So now it is restarting machine. Again I go to the this AM control. Okay, AM access. Here go to the AM access. When I click on this access control, now because of I had given the contributor role, you don't have any permission to create assign a role. To create have a assign a role. Here just click on this one. You don't have any permission. This add role assignment is option is disabled. Okay. Why? Because you are not a owner. Okay. When you give the owner role for this resource, you can assign the role for also this one. Okay. Okay. Understand? Now again I will give the permission for this one. Okay. Which one? I just go to the portal again. For this user, I will assign the role. Okay. I will assign the role. I just go to the virtual machine again. This time I will apply the owner role. This time apply the owner role. Just click on this virtual machine. Again go to the access control. Click on add here, add role assignment. I am giving the owner permission for the user to access the resource virtual machine. Okay, here click on the privilege administrator role. Now I'm just giving the owner role. I'm just click the owner next here. Then add the select members. This is Azure 2. And click on next here. Then click on next here. Then click on next here. Review and assign. Review and assign. Now again go to this one. Let me check here for user whether can I assign a role assignment. There is having an assignment role is there. Just go to this one. Go to the virtual machine. Now this is the virtual machine. We are given the owner permission. When you give the owner permission, mean that I can assign the role also. I can assign the role also. Understand? Again go to the access control. In this one, click on add here. Now you can see here add role assignment. Now I can check here the add role assignment. Do you understand? Okay, we can add a role assignment also. Mean that there are three types of roles are there. One is the reader role, second one is the contributor role, third one is the owner role. And these roles can be assigned at the resource level, at resource group level, and also subscription level. We had in this class we had assigned the role at the resource group level. Okay, at the resource level. Whether I want to create a given the permission for the resource group level, that can also possible. For this one, go to the home, go to the resource group, go to the resource group, click on the resource group here, click on the resource group, click on the access control. This is at the resource group level. This is at the resource group level. Previous thing is the for the resource level only. Again you can add here, add role assignment. Now you can give the reader level and contributor level and owner level. Do you understand? Brother? I created a user. Okay, I created a user. For this user, I had given the access. Okay, I had given the access by using RBAC. That is a role-based access control. There are three types of permission are there: reader, contributor, and owner. Reader, contributor, and owner.
So reader cannot modify the anything. He can just view the resource. Whereas contributor can view the resource and modify the resource, but cannot assign the role assembly. Whereas owner can assign the role assign also. Can assign the role also. That's it for today's class. Are you there?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here, brother.
You understand
Yes,
that?
I'm here. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Tomorrow I'll see you. Just little bit complicated. Just go through one more 2 to 3 times. Then you will create. Okay.
Yes, yes. Next class will be Monday, right, brother?
Oh,
Just
okay.
Friday.
Okay. Okay.